Ha! Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning here tonight to chat about this new Foxygen album, Seeing Other People. Foxygen are a California indie rock band made up of Jonathan Rado and Sam France. They are modern psych rock and indie rock darlings and one of my all-time favorite bands. First time I heard these guys was on their 2012 little EP mini album, Take the Kids Off Broadway. And instantly I was hooked. This was a very exciting, fast-paced debut. It blended elements of indie rock alongside psychedelic rock and experimental rock. There was also a strong musical theater feel. But also there was a sort of classic rock feel from a distance. And Jonathan Rado and Sam France together were writing just incredibly catchy songs. And a lot of the same elements transferred over to their next album. We are the 21st century ambassadors of peace and magic. God, that's a mouthful. Like I said, it took a lot of the psychedelic, indie rock, and experimental rock, cleaned it up real nice with some very sweet production, and it had a little bit more of like a finely tuned sound to it. It was a little bit more on the rails, but the guys were writing some of their catchiest songs yet. Tracks like Shuggy and On Blue Mountain and San Francisco. Great tracks. Then there's And Star Power, which around this time, hearing this album, I felt like Foxygen really fell off, and I kind of fell off with them. Not that there's absolutely no good material here. There is. As a matter of fact, How Could You Really was the first track that I heard from Foxygen, what made me love them. But so much of this album is just too much. It's literally an hour and a half. Like, there's so much filler here, and it just does not really add up. But Foxygen in 2017 returned to greatness very early in the year with Hang. This wasn't their most ballsy album to date. This wasn't their most exciting album to date, but it showed the band going back to their roots in indie rock and psychedelic rock, polishing it up once again and making it their most lavish and extravagant and catchiest album to date. Now, it's been a few years since we've heard from the duo, and from these new singles, I've kind of been curious to see what direction they're going in. They're certainly curveballs, not necessarily bad ones, but it certainly really reeled me in to hear this new album. Let's chat about it. This album starts off with Work, and it's maybe not the beautiful, extravagant, and lavish start that I expected. But holy crap, is this track ever really fun. It's much more electronic and quirky from the duo. And let's just talk about Sam's performance, especially lyric-wise. It's just so bitter, like almost to the point where it's kind of hilarious in parts. But honestly, I love the driving beat, and the low-key grooves are really great. Like, I personally think this is a fantastic single. This is like a real curveball from Foxygen. It's not what I expected to hear, but I'm actually not that pissed about it. I have a lot of the same feelings on Mona. Like, this groovy synth funk. I don't know where this is coming from the boys, but it's really fascinating. This bass groove is absolutely killer, and Sam on vocals here sounds like a damn freak. Like, he sounds like an actual killer here. There's absolutely still a big throwback vibe, but this is a little different for Foxygen. This kind of sounds like an 80s one-hit wonder, borderline like a novelty track. But personally, I kind of find it fascinating. Like, the camps are a little campy, a little goofy at times. And especially Sam's performance, that totally reaches into the realm of goofiness at times. But I can't lie, once again, I do really like this track a lot. But Foxygen, Jonathan, Sam, like they all just sort of like spiral out of control really quickly. And very quickly, this album just becomes way too much of a stretch, even for me. Seeing Other People, this album's title track, is a very slow-paced ballad. Like, that's fine, I'm cool with the ballad. But this one takes so long to get rolling. Like, a lot of the little details here actually make this a little easier to swallow. I like some of the synths floating through the background. And in a weird way, I'm almost getting some Ariel Pink vibes here. Like, this isn't the worst track here, but I just kind of need a hook to really drive this one home. But even here, like, I might not love this track, but the sheer heartache to this track does make this one, like, work a little bit in my book. News later on in the album is once again real stretch for me. Like, these synths are really taking over in a big way on this album. But man, I feel like this is so middle of the road. Like, as a matter of fact, a lot of the tracks here, especially the worst ones, I can't say that they're completely bad. There's almost elements to each track here that I do kind of like. I like the heartache in some parts. I like the bitterness in others. And I like the sort of quirky lyrics in other parts too. But tracks like News are just so middle of the road. Instrumentally, this is like so boring, and the tamest track here. But harmonies-wise, like, I still kind of love this. Like, those are gold. And lyrically, this track has tons of swagger to it, and it's kind of compelling in a weird way. I just wish the instrumental would pick up. And it just goes on for so damn long. Like, this is my problem with seeing other people. This album is just so, like, middle of the road. Even at its worst moments, there are great elements of these tracks, but Foxygen seem really unfocused. Flag at Half-Mast, once again, is such a stretch. Like, it's so dreary, so drawn out. But on this one, I had the exact opposite problem, because I absolutely love this very lavish instrumental. But there's nothing else on this track that just gets Foxygen out of this rut, and it's just so meh. Sadly, to me, it kind of sounds like Sam and Jonathan aren't having fun with Foxygen anymore. Like, the quirky bitterness of some of the early tracks, like, everything that was kind of fun about that, it's just gotten way too real really fast. And it just seemingly goes on forever. But Sam and Jonathan do have some tricks up their sleeves. Take the Face the Facts single. It's probably the closest thing we're gonna get to a classic sounding Foxygen track, at least here. It's still very quirky, very odd, and I love, love, love the very surreal lyrics that we get here. Thankfully, though, on this one, everything comes together. We get a very lavish, extravagant instrumental that brings everything together. The pieces are all here. It's a track that did take a little while to grow on me. And these sort of weird, bitter lyrics pop up again too, but at least here I can actually have some fun with them. Like, it's gonna be hard to swallow for Foxygen fans, but compared to some of the other trash that we get here, this track's actually pretty fun. And I have a lot of the same thoughts on Livin' a Lie. To be honest, first hearing this song, took me quite a while to really swallow this one, but this track has grown on me quite a bit. Like, this is far from the wild and creative and lavish psych rock that we were getting for years. No, this is a stripped down and incredibly emotional ballad with some genuine heartache. Not to mention, as far as like a performance from Sam goes, this might be his best here. He's got a ton of charisma, and his performance is heartbreaking. And while this does have a little tame of an instrumental, it's still very classy. And hot take, the thing is, might be the best track here. Like, I love just how extravagant and over the top, and just how glam rock inspired this track is. Like, Sam's vocals are so over the top here. Half the time he sounds like he's gonna explode. Lyrically, this sort of is, like, far from their catchiest material. But still, this is the sort of fearless track that I was craving more than anything here. And some of the instrumentals on this track, especially those synths in the final moments. Whoa, Nelly, that's good. But as a finale, the conclusion just kind of makes me ask myself, like, how did we get here? This could have been a very emotional, heartbreaking finale. But no, once again, this kind of just comes off as like some muddy, ugly sounding track that has Sam and Jonathan sounding bored. Songwriting, like, did they put any effort in here? Probably not. Like, on tracks like this, it sounds like they're going out of their way to sound bad. It's just depressing. So this is a really frustrating album. I feel like some of the singles, like, kind of poke in an interesting direction for Foxygen. Going for a more synth-heavy sound, bringing more character into their lyrics. Like, this is what I've been wanting to hear from them for years. My problem with their last album, Hang, was nothing tied it all together. But at least here, it kind of sort of sounds like Foxygen started with some pretty strong ideas to tie everything together. That would have been great. But by the end of this, the bitter lyrics and the sloppy performances make Foxygen just sound really bored with where they're at right now. I feel like they need almost like a complete reinvention. But like I said, when this album is on, it's actually kind of interesting. There's just so much filler, and a lot of tracks here just fall very flat. So for me, this really sucks, but I'm feeling like a decent to strong 6 on this one. I was expecting so much more, but let me know what you guys think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you guys would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, guys.